Welcome to The Call. I'm Michelle Caruso Cabrera. For a while there, it looked like housing prices were recovering. They rose for 4 straight months through July. That was according to the Case-Shiller Index. Now, we haven't gotten Case-Shiller data yet for August and September. However, all the other indices out there are showing some weakening. CNBC's Diana Olick joins us live from Washington. Diana, are we looking at a potential now triple dip in housing?
We absolutely are. I want to preface, of course, by saying that home sales and prices are highly seasonal. Prices especially. They always go up in the spring and summer and then dip again in the fall, simply due to the mix of homes that are selling. But in today's troubled markets, there are a lot of other factors weighing in, and it could be much more than just a change in the seasons.
We believe that the foreclosure pipeline is going to pick up and that ultimately that's going to produce some more downward pressure on prices. So we're expecting still a bottom at the earliest nationally in 2012. So we foresee more months ahead where we're going to see declining home values.
Now, home prices turned down in August, down 0.4% according to CoreLogic month to month, and that includes sales of foreclosures and also short sales. It is a direct effect of banks ramping up the foreclosures after nearly a year of delays due to the so-called robo-signing paperwork mess. Now, a new report from Zillow to be released tomorrow shows month to month prices were barely positive, up just 0.1%, but Zillow does not include sales of distressed properties, which are 1/3 of the market.
In a lot of markets, actually, what you're finding is basically it's kind of a dumbbell market. You've either got investors who are paying all cash for properties and turning around and renting them out, or you've got FHA buyers who are only paying 3.5% down and are buying them, and those are largely first-time home buyers.
So how low will home prices go? Well, of course, there are wide and varied predictions. We have from Clear Capital, which does a rolling quarter. They say prices will be down 3.2% by the end of 2012 from now. Analysts at J.P. Morgan Chase just put out something saying they predict another 6 to 7% drop in home prices from here. That would be a 36% decline from the peak toward the end of 2012. So not good looking into the fall. Back to you, Bill.
Diana, thank you, I think. So can the economy recover without a housing rebound? Joining us with their thoughts, Shari Olefson. He's real estate and foreclosure attorney, and Lance Roberts is chief economist at Street Talk Advisors. And Lance, I don't think it's possible, is it?
Well, it's not, actually. If you go back in history, you have to look at the fact that building a new house is one of the largest multipliers on the economy. In other words, every dollar we put into building a home multiplies into hundreds of other jobs, from construction workers to engineers, all the way to interior designers and landscapers. So it has a big pass-through through the economy. The only other thing like that's manufacturing. Unfortunately, with our economy right now, we're missing both of those.
Right. Shari, isn't it a good thing, though, that finally all of these foreclosures are coming to market? I mean, I understand the intent on the part of regulators when it came to them being so upset about robo-signing, but what it did was it delayed. Right? And so now all of this stuff, don't we have to get through these foreclosures before we can get to the other side?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the necessary evil, and unfortunately, it's been delayed for over a year. In terms of the overall economy, I mean, it's possible to have an economic recovery without housing, but we have 3 fundamentals we need to fix. Number one, 15 to 20% of our jobs, as Lance said, relate back to housing. That's about 5 or 6% of GDP normally. Now it's less than 2%. So we need to replace those jobs. Number two, 75% of the average American's wealth came from their home.
Right.
So now with a third of the people underwater and $13 trillion in lost wealth, we need to fix that. And then number three, of course, the actual ability to spend came from borrowing. Over 60% of Americans have had their credit damaged because of this crisis. And frankly, even with the rates this low, we can't get loans. So we need to fix those fundamentals. Is it likely? I don't know, but, you know, Moses parted the Red Sea, so anything's possible.
And Lance, what she's described is, I mean, you described the measurable effect, the multiplier effect of home building. What she's described is that immeasurable malaise, the emotional malaise that can have a very profound impact on the economy as well, right?
Well, that's right. And she hit on 2 very important topics here. One is the inability to obtain credit. So if you wanted to buy a house right now, it's very difficult to actually get qualified to buy the house. But more importantly, one thing that we've been watching here is the fact that you have very, very low household formation because of the weakness in the economy. You know, college students are going to college. They're coming out. They're going back home to live with their parents because they can't get a job. Some of your highest unemployment in the country is between the ages of basically 20 and 30 years of age. mortgage. So now you've got parents today strapped between taking care of their parents and their children.
Yeah, and a fall off in immigrants as well, because housing and construction was so dominant by a lot of immigrant workers as well. Sherry, though, bottom line, in the end, though, GDP, when you look at the numbers, if housing was dragging it down, if we're at least bottoming, or if it's only falling 3% as opposed to the huge declines we saw before, it doesn't necessarily drag down GDP from here. It just doesn't help it lift from here.
Well, that's the thing.
You're right.
Sherry, go ahead. Last word.
Yeah, until we fix those issues, until we enable consumers to spend and make them confident enough to do that, they're just not going to be doing that. And jobs, obviously, Michelle, is what you're talking about. It all relates back to jobs as well.
All right. Folks, thank you for your insights today. Appreciate it very much. A lot of up arrows today for the stock market. When we come back, we'll sort of